Theravada Buddhism started 25.5 centuries ago, 90 days after the Buddha passed away. At the first Great Sangha Council, which was sponsored by King Ajatasa of Rajagiri. And the council was led by Kassapa Mahasi as a president, and Ananda and Upali Mahasi as general secretaries, along with 497 arahats. The principle set out at the first Great Sangha Council was immediately followed, practiced and preserved by the bhikkhus, the monks. A group of bhikkhus led by or trained by Shin Ananda and Shin Upali became the prominent figures in the Theravada Buddhism for 2.5 centuries to come. Shin Ananda outlived 40 years over the Buddha. At the city of Vesali in Visi Kingdom, one can still see a remembrance pagoda erected in honor of Shin Ananda after he passed away. This Shin Ananda was already training 6 talented young monks and novices, Samanera, while Buddha was still alive. And these 6 monks are: 1. Subhagami, 2. Sala, 3. Revata, 4. Koda Sobita, 5. Yasa. This Yasa became the leading figure in the Second Great Council. And the number 6 is Sana Sambuto. All these 6 months actually have seen the Buddha and probably met while Buddha was still alive. And they are trained to become a Tipitaka Dara, which means one who can recite all the Buddha's teaching, Pali Canon and commentaries, have a full grasping and understanding, and can teach others to become Tipitaka Dara. In other words, they are the living embodiment of Buddha Dharma and his commentary. And in line of Upali, he also trained another group of monks. And his prominent lineage holder after him, 1 is Dasaka, 2 is Sonaka, 3 is Sigawa, and 4 is Desa. This Desa became the key figure in the Third Sangha Council, Third Great Sangha Council. He is the key figure of that. The training of this Tipitaka Dara holder's tradition was handed down from generation to generation throughout 25.5 centuries. Even though there are electronic medias nowadays, one can get Tipitaka and his commentaries at a fingertip. There are hundreds of monks in Myanmar still trying and training and working hard to become a Tipitaka Dara. These distinguished monks the title holder of Tipitaka Dara, are considered and honored as heroes and the preserver of the Theravada Buddhism. Currently in Burma, there are 12 living Tipitaka Dara in Myanmar. A century passed by after the Buddha passed away, and the city of Vesali in Visi Kingdom became the focal point of the Buddhism. There rose a large group of bhikkhus who would like to change or delete or add some of the minor vinayas, disciplines laid out by the Buddha. And the elders try to persuade them not to, but they won't listen. They are already practicing as they see fit. So the elders went to the king Ashoka of that Visi kingdom and asked him to call a second great Sangha council so that it would unite the communities of Sangha under one umbrella. The king sponsored their event, and 700 enlightened monks, headed by Yasa Mahasi, he is the number 5 disciple of Shen Ananda, who is the first and original holder of that title. The council duplicated the first great Sangha council format. After the second great Sangha council, the king decreed that all Buddhist monks in his kingdom must follow the exact vinaya or the disciplines set out by the Buddha and upheld by the second great Sangha council. But over 10,000 monks who refused to follow were exiled from his kingdom. The exiled monks went to a nearby kingdom called Kosambi and founded another group or another gang called Mahasangika, which is the forerunner of the Mahayana Buddhism. This group created a new set of vinaya by discarding some laid out by the Buddha and added new which suffice their needs and beliefs. This is the first split of the Sangha, 100 years after Buddha's passing away. And then another century passed by, exactly 236 years after Buddha passed away, his parinibbana. There are already 17 groups of Buddhists with 500 different anti-Theravada viewpoints exist. And these 70 groups were branches coming out of the Mahasangika group, founded 136 years ago. Around that time, there's Emperor Ashoka ruled the kingdom of Pataliput. That is, covers most of the India except the southern part, his kingdom. Near the end of his war of empire building, this King Ashoka met a Buddhist monk called Mauglibuddha Desa Mahasi. Actually, he is the 4th lineage title holder of Shen Upali, as you heard the name a few minutes ago. Under this monk guidance, the King Ashoka converted into Buddhism. And suddenly he stopped the war campaign to build his empire and focused on Buddhism. and brought peace and prosperity to his kingdom. As there were 17 different sects, 18 including Theravada in his kingdom, so he wanted to purify the Buddha Sasana according to the original teachings. That's why he decided to call the Third Great Sangha Council, of course led by Buddha Desa Mahasira, the one who is in line from Upali lineage. After the council, the emperor decreed all monks who refused to follow the original teachings of Buddha to exile. That's why all the non-Theravada Buddhist monks went to northwest of India and far deep into the Himalayas in the north. At that same time, the emperor sensed that there's a resurgence of Hinduism in India. So in order to preserve Theravada Buddhism, he built 84,000 monasteries, Buddhist monasteries across his empire, and also decided to spread Theravada Buddhism beyond the borders of his empire for it to preserve and survive over time. 9 Buddhist delegations, each consisting of 30 arhats, were sent to 9 locations beyond his borders. One of the delegations, led by Sona and Uttara Mahasira, were sent to Southeast Asia to a place called Suvarna Bhumi, which means the Golden Land. Nowadays that place is called the Thone in Myanmar. It was speculated that Suvarna Bhumi extended into part of Thailand, part of Malaysia, and probably into Indonesia. The delegation converted the king and the people to Buddhism. They were originally worshipping ogres, giants. The first sutra, or the discourses they taught, is called Brahmajala Sutta, or discourse, which explain 62 wrong views or different views existed at that time, at the time of Buddha. And the group systematically planted how to practice morality, concentration, and wisdom, Sila Samadhi Pinya. That was the first historical record of Buddhism arriving to Burma or Myanmar, 236 years after Buddha passed away. And then time passed by. 4 centuries after the Buddha passed away, Buddhism was wiped out from India. It disappeared. But it was especially thriving and growing in Sri Lanka. However, during that period, there is a civil war broke out. It lasted for 30 years. All the Buddhist monks were driven out of their monastery. They fled for their life. Some went to southern India and take a refuge there. Some went to cave havens at the shorelines of Sri Lanka. But the monks still maintain the tradition of preserving the Buddha's teaching or training the Tipitaka Dara. They carry out with great hardship and difficulties because the monks vow to take a poverty, a vow of poverty. And they live only at the assistance of the people. But the people cannot support them because there's a great war. So through hardship, they still maintain and preserve the Buddhist teaching by training. At the end of the war, the two groups, one from southern India and the other group from Sri Lanka, get together and, so to speak, compare notes. They found to their delight there was no discrepancy, they are the same. But the elders at that time thought it's a time for us to put it on a written form, a printed form. They wrote on the palm leaves, so that for any reason, if Tipitaka monks were wiped out due to war or famine or disease, the Theravada Buddhism could still survive. And that's how the fourth great Sangha Council was called. It was held in a cave called Ashoka near the town of Malaya in Sri Lanka, 450 years after Buddha passed away. The event was led by Dhammarakkhita Mahasi and 499 Sri Lankan monks. And it was sponsored by the King Buddhagami Abhiya, the king of Sri Lanka at that time. The significance of this fourth council is it's the first time it is put it on a written record on palm leaves. And then 2,000 years passed by after that. In the year 2400, after the Buddha passed away, King Mindon of Mandalay, of Myanmar, held the fifth great Sangha Council. The council was led by Zagara Mahatira. Altogether there are 2,400 learned monks. And this Pali Canon and the commentaries were recorded on a marble slab. I don't know exactly, probably around about 5 feet wide by about 7-8 feet tall, printed on both sides. The king's idea was so that it would last throughout time. After that, another century passed by. 2,500 years after Buddha passed away, 1954 AD, the sixth great Sangha Council was held. It was sponsored by the Prime Minister U Nu of Myanmar, and the council was led by Mingun Mahatira or Mingun Sayadaw and Mahasi Sayadaw or Mahasi Mahasira of Myanmar. Then that is the first time Buddhist monks from all Theravada Buddhist countries, Sri Lanka, Myanmar, Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, all participated. And the Pali Canon and the commentaries were recorded on a microfiche. This is how Theravada Buddhism had and has been preserved, propagated and maintained throughout 25.5 centuries after the Buddha passed away. If there is any error in this talk, it is my own deficiency and incompetency. May all of you be well, happy and peaceful. Thank you.